Have you ever wondered how many small signs in our body do we tend to ignore, when in fact they could be warning bells for high blood pressure? Today, we'll hear the story of George, a 72-year-old man who believed he was perfectly healthy, until he finally began to listen to what his body was trying to tell him. "Hello, doctor. My name is George. I'm 72 years old and I live in Florida with my wife, Doris. We've been retired for over 10 years now. Life is generally peaceful. I spend my days gardening, reading, and taking a few laps around the neighborhood each evening. I've always thought of myself as a pretty healthy guy. I don't smoke, rarely drink, eat a lot of vegetables, and go to bed early. So, to be honest, I never paid much attention to my blood pressure. But over the past year or so, I've started to feel a little off. Nothing major, nothing dramatic, just small things here and there. One morning, I woke up with a slight headache, not sharp or intense, more like someone lightly tapping my forehead with a rubber mallet. Another day, I stood up from my chair and felt a brief wave of dizziness. Once, while watering the plants, I suddenly felt short of breath as if I had just gone for a run, even though I had only taken a few steps. I told Doris about these things, and she said, "It's probably just age. Don't worry about it." And I believed her. I mean, we're getting older, right? Feeling a bit tired now and then just comes with the territory. But then came the day of my regular checkup. The doctor took my blood pressure and stayed quiet for a moment. Then he said, "George, your blood pressure is very high, and it's been high for quite some time." I was genuinely stunned. How could that be? I wasn't in pain. There were no warning signs. I still walked every day, got my sleep, ate well, and that's when the questions started creeping in. Were those mild headaches actually a warning? Were those dizzy spells my body whispering something I just didn't listen to? I think I brushed it off for far too long. "Doctor, is it really possible for high blood pressure to be that silent? Are there any early symptoms, even the tiniest ones, we should be looking out for?"
Dear George, your question touches on something that quietly worries many people over the age of 60. Why can high blood pressure happen without leaving any clear signs? The reason is this. High blood pressure is a silent attacker. It doesn't shout. It doesn't cause a fever. It doesn't knock you off your feet. But day by day, hour by hour, it quietly damages some of the most important organs in your body. Just imagine your blood vessels like a garden hose system running through your yard. If the water pressure inside the hose is too high, over time, the weaker parts of the hose start to wear out. They may crack, leak, or eventually burst. But here's the thing, this doesn't happen overnight. It's a slow, quiet process. You usually don't notice anything until the water starts leaking, the plants begin to wilt, or the hose suddenly bursts. The human body works the same way. When your blood pressure rises, the pressure inside your blood vessels increases too. At first, your vessels can tolerate it. But over time, the walls of those vessels become thicker, lose their flexibility, and begin to break down. Your heart has to work harder. Your kidneys are forced to filter more rapidly. Parts of your brain may start to receive less oxygen. But you don't feel any of it, at least not right away. That's why so many people just like you go about their daily lives, eating and sleeping normally, until one day they have a checkup and are shocked to learn their blood pressure has been in the danger zone for years. And that's also why the early symptoms, if they appear at all, tend to be vague and easy to miss. A mild headache, a brief moment of dizziness, a blurry morning vision. These little things are easy to brush off or blame on just getting older, without giving them a second thought. Here's something important to understand. The human body is incredibly good at adapting. When blood pressure starts to rise slowly, your nervous system, cardiovascular system, and even your brain begin to adjust to get used to it. George, what you shared is very real and, unfortunately, very common. That's the trap. That quiet adjustment hides the danger until it's already been doing damage. But it's exactly because of that silent nature that high blood pressure has become one of the leading causes of early death among older adults, especially here in the US. When high blood pressure goes unnoticed and uncontrolled for too long, the consequences go far beyond just feeling tired or a little dizzy. It slowly wears down your health from the inside, and by the time you finally notice something is wrong, it may already be too late. High blood pressure weakens the blood vessels in the brain, and sometimes all it takes is a sudden moment of stress or simply standing up too quickly for one of those vessels to burst, causing a brain bleed. In other cases, the blood thickens or clots, blocking the flow, and that leads to a stroke. The result can be paralysis on one side of the body, loss of speech, memory loss, sometimes temporary, sometimes permanent. There are people who were walking just fine yesterday and find themselves bedridden today. When the pressure inside your blood vessels rises, your heart has to work harder to pump blood throughout the body. Over time, the heart muscle thickens, then gradually weakens, leading to heart failure. And the consequences? Shortness of breath, feeling exhausted after just a few steps, swollen legs or ankles, trouble sleeping because you need to sit up at night just to catch your breath. The kidneys help regulate blood pressure, but they're also highly vulnerable to damage from high blood pressure itself. As the damage builds, the kidneys slowly lose their ability to filter waste from the blood. Eventually, a person may need dialysis several times a week, a heavy burden, both physically and emotionally. Now, I'm not saying all this to scare anyone, but to remind us of something important. High blood pressure isn't just a number. It's a slow and steady force that can quietly erode your health over time. And because it often shows no clear signs, it deserves our attention, especially when even the smallest symptoms begin to appear. Dear George, here's the good news. Our bodies do send us signals, even if they're subtle, when something isn't right. The real question is, are we listening? Below are 7 silent symptoms that many older adults experience and often overlook. But these could be the very first whispers of high blood pressure making itself known. 1. Dull headaches in the morning. Not a sharp or pounding pain, more like a heavy feeling in your forehead, especially right after waking up. Why it matters? Blood pressure tends to spike in the early morning hours. That added pressure on the blood vessels in your brain can cause this sensation. 2. Lightheadedness when changing positions. Standing up from a chair or turning your head quickly and suddenly, the room feels like it's tilting or swaying just a bit. Why it matters? This can be a sign that your circulatory system is reacting slowly, a response often linked to unstable blood pressure levels. 3. Unexplained fatigue. You might feel worn out after simple tasks like washing the dishes, sweeping the floor, or taking a short walk. Why it matters. When blood pressure is high, your heart works harder to circulate blood, quietly draining your energy without you realizing it. 4. Mild blurred vision, especially in the morning. It's not always obvious. Sometimes it's just a bit of haziness when you first wake up, and then things clear up after a few minutes. Why it matters. High blood pressure can affect the tiny blood vessels in your eyes, and over time, it may lead to retinal complications if left untreated. 5. Brief chest tightness. It may feel like something is pressing on your chest for a few seconds, especially while walking or doing light chores. Why it matters. This could be an early sign that your heart is working harder than it should, even if it only lasts a moment. 6. Trouble sleeping or restless sleep. Tossing and turning, waking up multiple times during the night, or feeling unrefreshed in the morning even after a full night in bed. Why it matters. High blood pressure can interfere with the autonomic nervous system, disrupting your natural sleep cycles and preventing deep, restorative rest. 7. Shortness of breath, even with light activity. Suddenly, the stairs feel steeper than usual. A walk around the block leaves you a bit winded. Why it matters. This may be a sign that your heart is under pressure and your body isn't getting enough oxygen during movement. So, what can you do? Don't worry, act. The solution isn't fear, it's timely action. Here are 3 simple steps. Monitor your blood pressure at home. Check it twice a day, once in the morning and once in the evening while at rest. Track any unusual symptoms. If you notice 2 or 3 of the signs above showing up repeatedly, write them down and take note. Get regular checkups at least twice a year. Even if you feel perfectly fine, regular visits can catch silent changes before they become serious. We don't have to wait for something to go wrong to start caring about our health. Listening to your body early on, that's the kindest, smartest thing you can do for a long and healthy life. Dear George, and to everyone watching this video, we often think high blood pressure only becomes serious when there's a heart attack or stroke. But as George shared, sometimes the very first signs are nothing more than a brief headache, a little dizziness when standing up, or just feeling unusually tired after doing some gardening. These small things are easy to overlook, but they can be quiet red flags. And here's one thing that truly matters. Don't wait for an emergency to start paying attention to your blood pressure. There's so much more we can do sooner and more easily than we often realize. Simple tips you can start today. If you've made it this far in the video, I'd like to invite you to try just 2 small things. Each morning, check your blood pressure before breakfast and jot it down in a small notebook. It only takes 3 minutes, but it could help catch early changes before they become problems. Take 5 minutes a day to check in with your body. Ask yourself, did I feel dizzy today? Did the stairs feel harder than usual? Or simply, do I really feel well today? It's a way to reconnect with yourself and to care for your health at a stage in life where every moment truly matters. Thank you, George, and thank you to everyone watching for staying with us until the very end of today's story. If you're sitting there thinking, wait, I've felt some of those symptoms before, then congratulations, not because of the symptoms, but because you've started listening to your body. Maybe today, George's story is also your story. Or maybe it's the story of your partner, your parent, your brother or sister. And if you've ever felt a mild headache, a strange kind of tiredness, or found yourself breathless after just a few steps, please don't brush it off. We'd love to hear your story in the comments below. Have you experienced any of the 7 signs we mentioned today? Do you have a daily habit that helps keep your blood pressure in check? We read every single comment, and sometimes we respond even faster than standing up and suddenly realizing we've been sitting too long. Gentle chuckle. And if you found today's video helpful, please consider hitting the subscribe button so you won't miss the next one. Every week, we share gentle, easy-to-understand insights, but deep enough to help you care for your heart, your memory, and your overall quality of life. Wishing you a peaceful afternoon and steady, healthy blood pressure. See you in the next video.